How's it going, everybody? My name is Jeff King with XS Sights, and we have our engineer friend with us today.
How's it going? I'm Charles.
And today we're going to be doing an installation on our Henry Lever Handguard. So a little bit of background of kind of why we decided to do this was XS has been around since 1996, obviously with handgun sights and some other accessories, shotguns, ARs, what have you. But something that we're also really known for is our lever optics mounts. We've been doing this for almost 20 years, and fun fact, we actually were one of the first designers of a handguard for Leverguns. Obviously, it was all Picatinny'd out and super tactical back then in the 90s. But what we decided to do was dust off the project and see what we could do because Leverguns are super hot again. Everybody's wanting to do whatever. They're almost becoming the new AR with all of the accessories and all of the upgrades that you can do with them. So we decided to dust off the project and kind of see what we could do. So Charles, I'll let you open up the box and kind of tell us what you guys did on the engineering team to make this something that's going to be super cool for everybody.
All right. So as Jeff kind of touched base there, we were the original ones back in the mid-90s on there. We had a few prototypes which had a whole bunch of pick rails. Sadly, we can't find one of those examples right now. It never got released actually out to the market on there, but we did kind of keep some of our information in our archives, so we eventually wanted to dust it back off. So we basically came up with kind of a modular M-LOK style 13-inch handguard on there, which should fit all the actual caliber options that are from Henry on these. It is aircraft aluminum. It will be type 3 hard anodized black on there, so that way it should be a little bit more durable. Plus you have 6 slots of the M-LOK down each side, and of course 7 on the bottom side of it there, so that way you can have any accessory you choose to fit on there, whether it be a handguard stop, some grip panels, or even a bipod on it, just to help figure itself out. And we also have added some lightning cuts in there to give it a nice little aesthetic that also actually do a lot to drop down the weight to keep this very light on it.
So yeah, let's go ahead, clear the workstation. I'll start clearing the workstation. Charles, if you want to tell everybody what is in the box and the kit that when they purchase it.
All right. Well, of course you have the box to start off with everything. The handguard will come out of it. Now when you are also going through, there should be a few extra bags in here. One that will have the actual mounting equipment for the receiver and the mag tube on there, along with its screws. Bag of Loctite on there to help keep everything in tight.
Blue Loctite.
Blue Loctite, of course. And then, of course, the instructions, so that way if you get lost or you don't remember what you're doing, we at least have something to get you back to point.
And then stuff that's going to be not included that you're going to need for installation in some capacity. A hammer, small hammer, nylon block, a wooden block, a flathead screwdriver, a nylon punch, gun cleaner and gun oil, some Q-tips, and that is kind of all you need to supplement with the kit so you can complete this installation. First thing we want to do, obviously, Charles, you're going to walk me through this. I've never installed one of these. Super excited to. I'm pumped to get into the tactical lever game. People, all my friends are doing it. All the friends are doing it. Super cool, right?
It's so hot right now.
That Hansel's so hot right now.
It's so hot right now. So we're gonna clear this and make safe. I know how to do that. That's pretty common in the YouTube world. That way people don't yell at us. We're gonna clear and make safe. Make sure there's no ammo in our workspace, and then we're good to go to start the installation process. So tell me, what do we need to do next?
All right. Now that you have made sure the gun is safe all the way, basically what you want to do is take off your forend support screws.
Okay.
Which should be just 2 simple little flat heads there. At the same point, if you do have already replaced them off with something else, it's going to be a different custom screw. Like we can ignore that entire sentence.
And then we're not using those screws again in the installation process, right? They'll just get set off to the side with the factory handguard.
My suggestion is always keep it in a bag to the side, but we will not reuse these for this install. Now you do have a couple options here. If your forend has been taken off a few times or you got a loose one on there, you should be able to finagle it forward just a little bit, give a good little grip, kind of wiggle back and forth. If it's not wanting to move for you, just kind of like this one is right here, what you will want to do is hopefully have a buddy that can kind of steady up the rifle just a little bit. Put it backwards. Have the muzzle on the nylon block. Yep. Then you want to take your wooden block, have it rested right against that little flat on the backside of the Picatinny rail for it, and just give it a few good whacks, because you want it just to move forward just enough to get the little tabs that are right there on the inside of that handguard to release from the actual receiver. So that way then you can actually slide it, finagle it back and forth the way you see fit.
Nice.
So now what you will want to do on the next part is you need to remove the mag tube support hanger towards the right side of the action, which is going to be the ejection port side or the loading gate side if you happen to have a loading gate model. So
if you're driving the gun to the right side.
To the right side. So Basically take your nylon punch, set it on the big part of the metal on that dovetail, give it a few good whacks, try and knock it out.
Nice.
Once that comes off, you should be able to finagle this handguard all the way up and off. And of course, being careful not to pinch yourself or your gloves in there. And then now you can begin with the install. So what you will want to do is grab your actual barrel mag tube support mounting piece on there, which whatever caliber specific model you ordered, it will be engraved on that. That will be the side you have to the muzzle side of the install. So that way, no matter what, you can always tell which magazine tube support you actually have on your gun. Take it, slide it on. If it doesn't want to go on, kind of like this one's doing, what you'll want to do is pinch the tube just a little bit. So it is spring steel, so it will come right back. But you want to basically slide it down just a little bit to the beginning of the cutout for the cartridge there. Then you want to take your mag tube support dovetail, add it back in, and install again from the right side of this action.
Looking at the screws that we'll need for actually putting on the handguard to the gun, we have four different types of screws actually. We have the short button head screws. That's going to be used for your receiver mounts. We have the long button head screws. That's going to be used for your mag tube mounts. And then we have the oval head screws that are going to be used to go into the mag tube support in the middle of the handguard and towards the middle of the gun to keep it on there. And then the fourth type is we're going to have set screws to make sure everything stays tight and really set it to the gun. That way it's not going to go anywhere.
It's nice when things lock in place.
Yes, correct. So go ahead, Charles, and walk us through what we need to do to get those going.
All right. So what you want to do on here is take your handguard. You want to take your receiver mount, go ahead and actually dry install to the handguard there. Easiest way to do it is flip it upside down while holding it up there. Take your button head screws and go ahead and loosely install them, i.e. just get the threads to engage. I do not really want any tension on this because you will likely have to undo the tension if you put any upon it. So now that it's there, should jiggle just a little bit. That way you know it's still loose enough for you. Now what you do is you actually take this, you want to basically have the ears of the handguard pretty much right around the barrel itself, so that way you're over the mag tube barrel mount, and then all the way to the rear of the gun itself. So what you will want to do is have the teeth of that receiver mount actually go into the receiver. That way you can actually butt up the handguard to the receiver sidewalls itself.
Awesome.
Then you want to take your little Allen key again and lightly take it down. You're not putting tension, just making them snug. So then you can move over to your handguard support screws and get these installed on there. Once again, lightly with no tension. We're just basically lining everything up for the quick moment. And now what you will want to do is you will want to take your your mag tube support and actually slide that backwards down the mag tube just a little bit. And you will want to line up those little the screw holes with the actual inlets that are right there in that handguard. A little bit difficult to see, but they are all the way far forward there. Then you want to take your long button head screw, go ahead and do the same exact way of installing, get them to engage the threads, but you're not really trying to put any tension on it just yet.
Why are we not tightening them all the way down?
Because we use Loctite to make sure these screws do not back out in the middle of shooting or over the season whenever it's just been put up in the safe.
So right now we're just making sure everything's lined up, good to go, and then we'll back each one of them out, make sure there's no oil on them or any of that. Put a dab of Loctite, and then we'll reinstall those and the set screws.
Yes,
Awesome.
So basically the set screws will be the final thing you install. That's going to be your torque on the backside. But now since they're all quote-unquote dry fit for the moment, now we're going to take them out, make sure they are going to be cleaned off with gun scrubber or any other oil dissolver, oil puller off there. So that way you can actually add the material or the compound of the Loctite to the screw and the handguard itself and actually have them do what it's supposed to do and bond properly.
Awesome.
So I'm going to start with the handguard support screws.
Is there any method to your madness whenever you're taking these out and putting them back in?
One at a time to make sure all of a sudden things did not get out of alignment. Your heaviest torque specs are going to be on your handguard support screws itself. Those are going to be about 12 to 15 pounds of torque, inch-pounds of torque on there, not foot-pounds of torque. The other button heads, since they are going to be a 540 screw that are a little bit smaller on there, you probably want to keep them more in the actual 5-inch-pound tension on there when you are installing, which is why, like I said, we use Loctite on all our screws to make sure it will not back out over time or overuse.
Awesome.
So this is the benefit of a Q-tip here. Go ahead and spray off on the tip, just that way you can take it and run it through the thread to get off residual oils. And of course, right around that little hole just a little bit. Now what you want to do is take your actual Loctite, do a simple little dab going down the line of the actual threads itself, and a little bit on that head. You don't want to do too much, but have enough to where it would almost seem like it should be running and make a mess. And then go ahead and install that into the hole. And this one is where basically you will go to where it's tight, switch over to where you have your long lever out, and then take it and go back about an eighth to a quarter of a turn. Just have everything set, and you will want to come back on the backside with a torque wrench to verify all your torque spec. Now on these button heads, when you are doing it, basically what you want to do on that long lever arm for torque, you just want to do that eighth of an inch of a turn. So basically where I'm at is going to be right about there for torque. So I want to turn it just where it's about over here. And there's that torque side. Once again, doing about that eighth of a turn. All right. Final one, and then we get to throw in the set screws. All right, so now that you've Loctited all your actual attachment screws on there, now it's time to go back in with the set screws.
Awesome. They're all the same size?
Yeah, all the same size. The one benefit to all these screws, they all work up the same Allen key.
Awesome.
So,
yeah, that's nice.
What I will say is your hardest tension point will be this rear one right here. So
Okay.
what you are doing is just trying to make sure that is always going to keep those teeth engaged to the receiver itself.
Got it. So you're trying to get that one pretty
That
pretty
one's
tight.
that one's the one you're going to put the most torque on. So
Okay.
these front ones are going to be basically going into the inlets on that little mag tube mount that's in there. Should be pretty well lined up. At the same point, if it's not, basically you want to get it down as close as you can so you have tension. It might have the screw protrude just a little bit, but at the end of the day, sticking out that just little eighth of an inch isn't horrible, but you can always take it down to actually get it to pop in just a little.
nice. Okay.
Now that you have these installed, go ahead and make sure it does not wiggle on you, or if you need to adjust any of the set screws up here to make sure you have an even gap on the left side or the right side, you can do so now. Which actually, we'll kind of back one off and left a little bit.
And if you back off on the left, you need to tighten the right.
Yep.
Yeah.
So these are a tensioning set, so if you do one to one, you will do it to the other as well. And then now you will reinstall your mag tube, and you should be ready to go.
Perfect. Nice, man. That looks fantastic. All right, guys, there we have it. There is the installation video for the Henry Lever Handguard by XS Sights. Charles, thank you for coming and helping me install this on the gun. It wasn't too terrible, but there is some pain points whenever you're talking about handguard installation on these guys.
It's just the fun issues of doing it a few dozen times, that's all.
Correct. Awesome. Well, thanks, guys. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching the video, guys. Be sure to like, subscribe, and share the video with your friends. Also, be sure to be following us on Instagram and Facebook to be up to speed in all the new things that we're doing. If you guys want early access into some of those cool things that we're doing, make sure that you're signed up for our email newsletter. You guys get exclusive discounts, early promos, and like I said, insights to all the new things that we're doing. As an American-made, family-owned company, our mission is to empower the good guy to be more confident, self-reliant, and prepared through functional weapon upgrades. So again, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.